to connect a region of over 600 mil bridges between our lands.
Hello, Mama Angeles. Welcome to ASEAN and Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Thailand. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Alma, and to all our viewers. I'm Esther Adanga from EBC Thailand Bureau, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines, Filipinos in Ethiopia have been advised to be vigilant and to refrain from going out of their homes amid an escalating civil war in the African nation.
The head of a fact-finding body established by the UN Human Rights Council said that the preliminary evidence shows a widespread and systematic attack on civilians in Myanmar in the wake of the coup in February, amounting to crimes against humanity.
Indonesian rescuers are scrambling to find survivors under mud-swamped hillsides after flash floods on Java Island killed 8 people.
And later, Crystal Mapa takes us to Kanchanaburi, Thailand to discover its gem of history.
At its finest.
First in our news, Filipinos in Ethiopia have been advised to be vigilant and to refrain from going out of their homes amid an escalating civil war in the African nation. According to a Business Bureau report, the advisory came from the Philippine Embassy in Egypt, which also has diplomatic and consular jurisdiction over Ethiopia. There are 800 Filipinos in Ethiopia, mostly working as technical and vocational and international servants. Some are spouses of Ethiopians. Ethiopia declared a nationwide state of emergency last week as the Tigray People's Liberation Front is moving towards the capital of Addis Ababa for the past year. Tigray forces have been trying to topple the government, and recently the rebels have seized control over other key cities. Last August, 3,000 railway workers, including 299 Filipinos, lost their jobs after their employer, the Turkish Yapi Marquesi Company, suspended operations following attacks by the Tigray on the construction camps and the railway itself. The 394-kilometer railway was supposed to link the northern and eastern corridors of Ethiopia to passenger and freight traffic. A special flight was facilitated for the Filipinos' repatriation from Addis Ababa to Mactan Cebu International Airport. Filipinos in Ethiopia are also encouraged to fill out an online form to update their contact details. For more information, they may reach the embassy in Cairo or the honorary consulate in Addis Ababa.
An American journalist detained for months by Myanmar's junta has been denied bail and hit with a third criminal charge, his lawyer told AFP on Thursday, drawing condemnation from Washington. Danny Fenster, managing editor of Frontier Myanmar, was held in May as he attempted to leave the country. He is on trial for allegedly encouraging dissent against the military and unlawful association and faces 6 years in jail if convicted in both counts. At his latest hearing inside Yangon's insane prison on Wednesday, he was told another charge was added for allegedly breaching in Washington State Department. Spokesman Ned Price called Fenster detention a sad reminder of continuing human rights and humanitarian crisis facing the country. The new charge comes a day after former U.S. diplomat and hostage negotiator Bill Richardson met junta chief Min Aung Hlaing in the capital Naypyidaw, handing the increasingly isolated junta some rare publicity. Both the State Department and Richardson's organization said he was on a private mission. Including the trip, the former governor of New Mexico said in a statement he had secured the release of another prisoner, Aye Mo, who used to work for Richardson's Center on Women's Empowerment. Richardson said he was looking to arrange the delivery of COVID-19 vaccines through the international COVAX alliance.
Meanwhile, the head of a fact-finding body established by the UN Human Rights Council said that preliminary evidence shows a widespread and systematic attack on civilians in Myanmar in the wake of the coup in February, amounting to crimes against humanity. Nicholas Kumjian of the Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar was updating journalists on its work to collect, preserve, and analyze evidence of the most serious international crimes and violations committed in the country. Take a look.
And we do feel now, having observed the events and collected preliminary evidence, that the facts show a widespread and systematic attack on a civilian population amounting to crimes against humanity. So we'll be collecting and attempting to verify that preliminary evidence. And that has also created many opportunities for us because we receive so many communications, particularly from people inside Myanmar, urging us to accomplish some type of accountability, asking us to bring people to account and end the violence that's happening there. We received over 200,000 communications since the coup. We've collected over 1.5 million items of evidence, and we will continue to collect that evidence and to analyze it in order to fulfill our mandate, so that one day those most responsible for the serious international crimes in Myanmar will be brought to account. In the first month or 6 weeks or so, we saw a measured response by security forces towards demonstrations against the coup. However, we then saw an uptick in violence and much more violent methods used to suppress the demonstrators, and this was happening in different places at the same time, indicating to us it would be logical to conclude this was from a central policy. And also we saw that particular groups were targeted, especially for arrests and detentions that appeared to be without due process of law. And this includes, of course, journalists, medical workers, and political opponents.
Now, his team has so far received over 200,000 communications since the coup and collected over 1.5 million items of evidence. Established in September 2018 by the Human Rights Council, the Independent Investigative Mechanism for Myanmar is mandated to collect, consolidate, preserve, and analyze evidence of the most serious international crimes and violations of international law committed in Myanmar since 2011, and to prepare files to assist any independent criminal proceedings in accordance with international law standards.
Meanwhile, Indonesia on Thursday questioned the terms of a deal to end deforestation by 2030 signed by over 100 countries, including the Southeast Asian archipelago, which is home to the world's third biggest rainforest. The nations agreed on the multi-billion-dollar plan at the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow this week to stop cutting down trees on an industrial scale in under a decade. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the agreement was pivotal to the overarching goal of limiting temperature rises to 1.5 degrees Celsius in a bid to slow global warming. But two senior Indonesian politicians on Thursday threw Jakarta's participation into question. One said the deal did not call for a total end to deforestation, and another said it could not halt President Joko Widodo's development goals. Indonesia's Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Mahendra Siregar said on Twitter that describing the deal as a zero deforestation pledge was false and misleading. Siti Nurbaya Bakar, Indonesia's environment minister who attended the climate conference in Scotland, said on social media that forcing Indonesia to zero deforestation in 2030 is clearly inappropriate and unfair. She added that there were multiple ways to define deforestation and that any deal could not halt economic growth. The massive development of President Jokowi's era must not stop in the name of carbon emissions or in the name of deforestation, he said, referring to Widodos by his nickname. Indonesia's natural wealth, including forests, must be managed for its use according to sustainable principles beside being fair, she said. In the declaration signed by Indonesia and over 100 countries, leaders committed to working collectively to halt and reverse forest loss and land degradation by 2030 while delivering sustainable development and promoting an inclusive rural transformation. Quizzed by reporters, Johnson's spokesman said he did not see a contradiction in Indonesia's statements.
Staying in Indonesia, rescuers there are scrambling last Friday to find survivors under mud swamp hillsides after flash floods on Java Island killed at least 8 people, according to the disaster agency. Torrential rains on Thursday unleashed flash floods in Malang and the highland city of Batu, inundating houses and mud with debris, while a wall of water destroyed local bridges. Take a look.
Kondisi saat pulang saya nggak bisa masuk dan suami masih di lokasi sini di rumah dan anak masih di sini mau keluar nggak tahu ya gimana nggak bisa menjelaskan. Pas waktu itu juga kaget sih.
Dengan pencarian anggota dengan warga di sini semuanya mencari di sela-sela puing-puing ini sehingga ketemu seorang mayat akhirnya.
6 people were pulled from the detritus alive, while rescuers found a half-dozen bodies in Batu and 2 more victims in Malang. On Friday, teams raced to find several more people unaccounted for in Batu, according to Indonesia's National Disaster Mitigation Agency, as the dead were placed in body bags. Fatal landslides and flash floods are common across the Southeast Asian archipelago during the rainy season, which started in September. The disasters are often caused by deforestation and poor mitigation planning, according to environmentalists. 7 people were killed in a landslide triggered by torrential rains or storms in Sumatra last month.
Now let's go over to Malaysia, where the British maskless woman who caused a stir a few weeks ago by refusing to wear a mask inside a luxury mall has caused more commotion now, as she insists that she's supporting freedom of choice on the matter. We have these updates from Alfred Balmes. Hi, Alfred.
Hi, Esther. Good afternoon. The Malaysians have chastised the Caucasian woman who caused a stir for refusing to wear a face mask at a luxury store last month after she uploaded a video on her freedom to choose. A Caucasian woman who revealed her name only as Carrie in a social media post claimed she is supporting freedom. Many berated her and told her to respect the law and not undo the work of many frontliners to bring COVID-19 cases to a manageable level. On social media, she has a lot of comments with negative feedback and asked her to leave the country if she doesn't want to follow the protocol of the Malaysian government. Last Saturday, this woman who had refused to wear a face mask at a luxury retail store identified herself as Carrie. In a 2-minute and 20-second video, which was uploaded on Twitter, Carrie claimed that she came to Malaysia from Manchester some 20 years ago. She started with Salamat Pagi and said that she and her children had home care and she loved Malaysia. According to her, the freedom encompasses many things, including medical issues. She added in Twitter posts, "Our song is freedom. Freedom to choose what we eat, where we go, who we go with, and what we do to our bodies. Medically or otherwise, it is choice, your choice, my choice." She added that many countries were giving up their COVID-19 mandates and asked the viewers to form your own opinion. She then used the phrase "Rumah terbuka," meaning open house. And she said, "Open your eyes, open your hearts, open your soul, open your homes, open house, love, laughter, joy. Makanan means delicious food. Imagine open houses every day and for the rest of our lives. All Malaysians, all are one, all united. A man who does not know his rights has no rights. We are free," according to her. And in October, videos of the woman went viral as she seems complaining to the shopping center management that the boutique staffer had put his hand on her to prevent her from entering, an allegation that we denied by the employee. The woman in the video dumped Karen, the generic name used in the United States for the self-entitled white woman, went viral and became a top trending topic in social media. Following this, Health Minister Khairi Hamaldin said the authorities had issued her a compound amounting to 3,000 Malaysian ringgit. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Alfred, for that update and for your time. Stay safe and stay healthy and wear a mask if needed.
Likewise, live reporting from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Alfred Balmes. We live in interesting times.
Now to Thailand, the government is stepping up efforts to fix the Thailand pass system. We have this update from Veronica Carino. Hi, Veronica.
Good afternoon, Esther, and to all of our viewers. Yes, the Thailand Pass system, which is the gateway of fully vaccinated travelers to Thailand, faced glitches since its launch on November 1st, and the government spokesman said that they are stepping up efforts to fix it. Following the approval of their travel applications, some tourists complained that they had either experienced delay in receiving QR codes or had not received them at all. Thanakon Wambungkong Shana, a government spokesman, said on Sunday that Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has been informed of the problem and has directed state agencies to repair the new online system, which was supposed to streamline the administration of travel and health requirements for both Thai and foreign visitors. Those planning a trip to the kingdom should consult tp.consular.go.th for more information. Immediate approval was one of the platform's standout features for applicants whose vaccine certificates could be verified online via QR code, provided the issuing country provided the necessary public key infrastructure, or PKI, for Thai authorities to validate the document. In addition, the Department of Disease Control, or DDC, conducts inspection in accordance with the Public Health Ministry's criteria. A system for verifying safety and health administration, or SHA plus accommodation bookings and alternative quarantine, or AQ system, has been implemented. Travelers who have been approved can download their Thailand or the Thailand Pass QR code, which allows them to prove their eligibility to airline and screening officers. They must also present negative COVID-19 test results obtained no later than 72 hours before departure. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, according to Mr. Thanakorn, is working with the Digital Government Development Agency and the DDC to improve the system. Drop-down list of hotels affiliated with the hospitals where they have their test, for example, will see information passed forward, reducing the burden on travelers to repeatedly present documents proving their current COVID status. Mr. Thanakorn also stated that efforts are being made to add more countries to the current list of 30 that have provided PKIs to allow authorities to validate their vaccine certificates. Vaccine document verification will now take no more than 3 days, down from 7 days previously. He also clarified why some applicants had not received their QR codes. In some cases, uploaded vaccination documents provided incomprehensible, forcing Thai officials to resort to manual verification, which takes much longer than the automated procedure, according to Mr. Thanakorn. According to him, in some cases, the hotels that visitors had booked were not linked to hospitals that performed RT-PCR tests. Jirapong Songwatcharaporn, Untitled Thai MP, said he had received complaints from Thais living abroad or who had registered for Thailand Pass that the system was slow and had many conditions. Some said they booked their flight back to Thailand a year in advance, but when they were about to fly, their applications was still not approved, according to Mr. Jirapong. This update is from Bangkok Post. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for all that updates. Stay safe and take care always.
Thank you. And likewise, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand, I am Veronica Carino, and we live in interesting times.
In other news, a video showing a powerful Vietnamese official enjoying a bite of steak smothered in gold leaf at a luxury London restaurant has sparked online anger in the Southeast Asian country, where the average person earns a few dollars a day. Tu Lam, or Tol Lam, Minister of Public Security, whose agency deals with the monitoring of dissent and surveillance of activists in the authoritarian state, was seen tucking into the hunk of meat at Nusret Steakhouse in the wealthy area of Knightsbridge. Nusret, named after Turkish chef Nusret Gökçe, known to his nearly 40 million Instagram followers as Salt Bae, serves up steaks wrapped in edible 24-karat gold leaf, reportedly costing more than $1,000. Many of those posting were angry about the decadence of display while the country struggles in the aftermath of a devastating wave of COVID-19 that has caused countless jobs and caused the heaviest contraction in Vietnam's GDP on record.
In other news, Philippine National Police or PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar on Sunday lauded the successful joint anti-drug operations by the police and Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA that netted close to 17 million pesos worth of illegal drug ecstasy tablets in Quezon City. Eleazar said the arrested suspect, identified as Alicia Melias, could be part of a huge drug syndicate involved in supplying and distributing illegal drugs in Metro Manila. According to reports from National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO, anti-drug operatives seized a total of 9,948 ecstasy tablets worth 16.9 million pesos from Lias during a controlled delivery operation at the corner of BMA and Batulao Streets in Barangay Tatalon, Quezon City on November 5. The operation was conducted by elements from the PDEA Regional Office 3, Clark Interagency Drug Interdiction Task Group, Quezon City Police District, and the Bureau of Customs Port of Clark. Eleazar attributed the successful operation of proper coordination among the government law enforcement agencies.
Now, for many years, the Sama Bajau community have made their livelihood fishing along the coast of Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Known as itinerant seafarers, their lifestyle has hampered their access to services like education, healthcare, and livelihood assistance. Let's listen in.
Ako po si Almalin Ahmad. Isa po akong volunteer UNHCR. Nagtutulong po ako, nag-house to house po ako para mag-inform sa mga tao. Katulad sa bird po, ma'am, nahirapan po talaga sila mag-register. Kasi marami pong inihingi sa kanilang mga requirements. Kaya tinutulungan ko po sila kung paano po yung gawin. Naranasan ko rin po, ma'am, mahirap talaga mag-register ng bird pag wala ka talagang requirements na kahit ano man sa papakita mo. Tumutulong po ako sa kanila, yung sa karamihan sa mga Sama Bajau, hindi marunong sumulat at bumasa. At saka po ako yung nag-a-assist sa kanila kasi yung iba, ma'am, natatakot pa nagsasabi sa mga CCRO, kaya ako ang lumalapit taga-translate sa kanila.
Kamo do sabi master may school. Buha kami ro sa pandan kami. Kasi pinaserop kami niyam. Master, principal siga. Magara para marunong kasi ako gusto ko makatulong sa nanay ko. Para makatulong din ako sa ibang tao.
With a birth certificate, people like Bernalita from the community are able to apply for jobs. To bring them out of the shadows, the UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, and UNICEF launched the birth registration drive in Zamboanga City in 2019 as part of the agency's joint strategy to end childhood statelessness. The initiative is being carried out with partners from the government in line with the Philippines' National Action Plan to end statelessness by 2024. The project currently seeks to reach an estimated 1,500 Samabajao living in Zamboanga and Tawi-Tawi province. And the news continues here on Eagle News, ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. May lalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Welcome back. Airline reservations to the United States took off immediately after the White House announced the country would reopen to all vaccinated international voyagers starting next week, compelling a welcome if challenging industry pivot. The long-awaited U.S. move to welcome back international travelers, which takes effect Monday, follows 18 months of restrictions for 33 countries during the worst of the coronavirus pandemic that separated families, impeded business travel, and frustrated tourists. Big carriers including Air France, United Airlines, and Singapore Airlines are scrambling to meet the sudden surge in demand, adding flights, swapping in bigger planes for smaller ones, and redoubling efforts to hire and retain staff. The industry also expects a strong but slower recovery in travel to Asia. Singapore Airlines, which benefited from a recent decision by Singaporean authorities to allow quarantine-free travel for a far broader range of travelers from the United States and Canada, anticipates flight frequency from North America to Singapore in December will reach 77% of pre-COVID levels, thanks to the reopening of voyages to Seattle and Vancouver, and for trips like Singapore, Frankfurt, New York.
Meanwhile, both the Department of Health and Malacanang said the downgrade of Metro Manila's classification to Alert Level 2 underwent evaluation and was based on metrics. Speaking in a palace briefing, DOH USEC Maria Rosario Vergere said the COVID alert level system and first tested in Metro Manila would be expanded nationwide by December 1.
Naglagay na po tayo ng schedule ng lahat ng areas in the country kung saan sila po ay makakasama na dun sa implementasyon nitong shift in policy. So meron na po tayong areas ngayon na bago na makakasama sa pilot implementation next week, and then hanggang sa dulo po ng Nobyembre. Pagdating po ng December 1, buong populasyon na po or buong areas of the country will be part of this shift in policy at mag-uumpisa na po tayo ng full implementation nito. So ang kinokonsidera po natin dito would be, nakita natin in NCR when we started off, it was effective. Nakita natin na pababa ang kaso because of these different interventions, and sinunod na po natin ang ibang lugar. So ang aim po natin, maipalawak po natin ang implementasyon sa buong bansa by December 1.
The Philippines on Friday lifted restrictions on national obsessions like karaoke and basketball in the capital Manila and reopened universities in the megacity of 13 million people as virus cases eased there. Cases have fallen from a high of 2,000 average daily cases in Manila last month to an average of just 493 cases per day. The new guidelines are in place until November 21, but officials said they could be extended if the number of new cases and hospital admission rates continue to fall. Now, contact sports like basketball, the national sport, karaoke bars, and amusement park operations were allowed for the first time since the Philippines began imposing lockdowns early last year.
The Department of Health, or DOH, is in favor of mandating vaccination for sectors that are most at risk of getting COVID. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said the proposal is still being studied as the law must be passed first to make vaccination compulsory. Take a look.
Vaccines work individually, but this time, because of this disease, kailangan po hindi lang individual ang may bakuna. Kailangan we will reach that certain protection across the population. No? Yung tinatawag na herd immunity, o yung population protection. So para magawa po natin yan, kailangan mahikayat pa natin lalo ang mga tao. And dito po pumasok yung pag-uusap tungkol sa mandatory vaccination. Not to impose on certain sectors, but to impose on specific sectors at which are vulnerable at saka nag-face talaga sila ng mga tao pag nagtatrabaho sila. So ito po ay pinag-uusapan lahat. Of course, we will heed to that statement of the Department of Justice, si Secretary Guevara, na kailangan ng batas. Kaya yan po ang pinag-aaralan natin sa ngayon with IATF. But definitely, if we are going to have this as parang mandated na for specific sectors only, DOH will also support this because we need this so that we can achieve yung protection for the population.
Vergere noted that the government is exerting all efforts to encourage more people to get inoculated. They can still see some level of hesitancy among the public. Among the factors influencing them range from fear of side effects, brand preference, and getting swayed by misinformation circulating on social media.
In Vietnam, the Department of Immigration has issued a notice on automatic extension of stay for foreigners stranded in Vietnam due to the coronavirus pandemic. Accordingly, foreigners who entered Vietnam on visa waivers, e-visas or tourist visas from March 1, 2020 are entitled to automatic stay extension until November 30 this year and can depart from Vietnam without having to apply for stay extension. For those who entered Vietnam before March 1 last year, the same automatic stay extension until November 30 can be considered, subject to provision of proof that the person was stranded in Vietnam due to COVID-19, accompanied by a diplomatic note with Vietnamese translation from relevant diplomatic missions or a written document from relevant Vietnamese authorities confirming that the person was required to undergo mandatory quarantine or treatment for COVID-19 or advice of other force majeure. The person is required to present the diplomatic note or written document on departure from Vietnam. During automatic stay extension period, foreigners shall be required to complete temporary residence and health status declaration.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh urged subordinate levels to accelerate rollout of vaccinations for COVID-19, giving priority to allocating vaccines to the Mekong Delta localities. Speaking at the cabinet meeting on Saturday, Pham said more than 120 million vaccine doses landed in Vietnam, of which nearly 89 million doses have been administered. The government chief ordered that the remaining doses must be inoculated by the end of November. According to Minister of Health Nguyen Thanh Dong, Vietnam has signed deals or reached agreements with foreign partners to secure 195 million doses this year. The country is expected to receive additional 38 million doses via the COVAX facility this month. As many as 94.7% of people aged 18 and older in 19 southern cities and provinces have taken the first jobs. The Vietnamese government's strategy to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible now, especially those over 50 years old, is the right one, said Director of Oxford University Clinical Research Unit, Guy Thwaite, in his interview with the Vietnam government portal.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno on Monday declared as non-mandatory the wearing of face shields in the city of Manila except in hospitals, medical clinics, and other medical facilities. In issuing Executive Order Number 42, Moreno noted that as of November 4, the Interagency Task Force for Managing Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF, has already de-escalated the alert status in Metro Manila to Level 2. Alert Level 2 refers to areas wherein case transmission is low and decreasing, healthcare utilization is low, or case counts are low or decreasing, but total bed utilization rate and intensive care units utilization rate is increasing. In several news reports, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año revealed that many government officials who are members of the IATF favor the removing the requirement to wear face shields.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, has launched a mental health helpline system with contact information from different organizations to support learners, teachers, and the public in times of mental and psychological distress. Under DepEd Memorandum Number 072 Series of 2021, its offices are instructed to include and promote the national and regional helplines of Circle of Hope Community Services Incorporated, COVID-19 mental health responders from the Masters of Psychological Services, Hopeline PH, and the 700 Club Asia in events and programs. We prioritize the promotion and protection of mental health and general welfare of our personnel and learners, especially amidst the challenges we face due to the crisis. This is according to DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones. The helplines may provide mental health and psychosocial support services, as well as wellness checks. All helpline numbers will be updated every March and October of the year. Alma and I will be back after this short break.
Lapit na ang face-to-face class. Dapat gumising ka ng maaga. Okay pa rin naman mag-jeep. Wag lang ito driver mo.
Send the suklina lang by Gcash.
Araw-araw niyo po kami samahan para sa mga nakakatawang videos.
Sa papuntang Divisoria, banda rito po, wala po ba dyan?
Nakanta makain yung pagkain ko.
Ay, sorry.
Patutunayan namin sa inyo na ang katatawanan ay nasa paligid lamang.
I-enjoy mo pagiging single mo kasi hindi mo alam baka bukas. Tayo na.
Funniest Nakaball Videos!
Hi, this is Nadia Montenegro. Always remember to cook with your heart.
Masarap talaga siya.
Yay! From Kusina ni Nadia.
Welcome back. The Philippines continues to enjoy lower tariffs when exporting certain products to member states of the Eurasian Economic Union, or EAEU. The Eurasian Economic Union, or EAEU, which includes Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz, and Armenia, retained the Philippines among the developing beneficiary countries, subject to preferential tariffs under its Generalized Systems of Preferences, or GSP, since October 12. This even after the EAEU Council decided to reduce the number of developing countries subject to preferential tariffs, which are applied to 75% of the basic tariff rate, from 103 countries, regions, to just 29. Countries or regions that have transitioned from preferential tariffs to basic tariffs include Brazil, Vietnam, Hong Kong, India, China, South Korea, Singapore, Thailand, Turkey, and South Africa. In an earlier statement, the Department of Trade and Industry Export Marketing Bureau said products covered by the EAEU GSP are eligible to a 25% discount on customs duties. Now, these include food, furniture, and industrial goods, and food products that include meat, fish, fruits, coffee, cacao, coconut products, sauces, and condiments. Furniture, gifts, and houseware in the list are articles of wood, basketware, artificial flowers, statuettes, ceramics, and imitation jewelry. Also included are industrial goods like natural rubber.
Indonesia's economy expanded again in the third quarter, official data showed Friday, thanks to the pick-up in exports, but the rate slowed from the previous 3 months as the pandemic continued to take its toll. Southeast Asia's biggest economy grew 3.51% on year in July to September, the Central Statistics Agency, or BPS, said, though that was well short of the previous 3 months' 7.07% jump, which was the fastest pace in nearly 2 decades. While mineral-rich Indonesia's overseas shipments rose sharply, the hotel and transport sectors were among worst hit, said BPS head Margo Yuwono, as national airline Garuda teeters on the edge of bankruptcy. Transportation was the most affected sector because of declining mobility, he told a press briefing. But Yuwono pointed to better times ahead as more people getting vaccinated and comply with health restrictions. The latest figures come as the vast country of 270 million loosens COVID-19 restrictions, including in Jakarta, after daily cases and deaths dropped steadily from record highs in June.
Meanwhile, Hanoi on Saturday opened its first ever urban railway line. as authorities try to cut the traffic and pollution that have long dogged the Vietnamese capital. Take a look.
Bao nhiêu lần trì hoãn rồi thì những cái lần đấy chúng tôi rất là bức xúc. Cứ bảo mấy tháng thì sẽ được, cuối năm sẽ được đi, nhưng cuối cùng không được đi và đến bây giờ nó mới là được cái ngày được đi. Cho nên là chúng tôi rất là cảm động và cũng rất là phấn khởi để trải nghiệm một cái tuyến đường sắt trên không của mình.
Phải ngôi này bởi vì bác là cái người sử dụng phương tiện công cộng đã khoảng chừng gần 20 năm nay, đó là xe buýt. Thì bây giờ là mong làm sao có cái dự án đường sắt này để nó giảm thiểu cùng chia cái gánh nặng đối với cái xe buýt để làm sao cho cái giao thông của nước mình, của thành phố mình nói riêng và
hơn nữa thì chúng ta cần phải có nhiều giải pháp hơn, tức là phải mở nhiều tuyến giao thông kết nối và mở nhiều tuyến đường sắt như đường sắt Cát Linh Hà Đông để kết nối giao thông thủ đô thì bài toán ùn tắc giao thông mới được giảm tải. Và người dân khi mà nó sử dụng thuận tiện thì người ta sẽ tự khắc người ta bỏ các phương tiện cá nhân như là xe máy.
The buzzing capital of 9 million people is known the world over for its dense crowds of motorbikes that fill the city streets and make life perilous for pedestrians attempting to cross. The number of bikes on the roads has soared from 2 million in 2008 to 5.7 million in 2020, according to the police. The figure for cars has also rocketed in the same period from 185,000 to 700,000. The Cat Linha Dong line has taken a decade to complete with its construction, interrupted several times due to safety issues and spiraling costs that have seen spending balloon to nearly $900 million from its original $550 million budget. 9 more lines are planned for Hanoi by 2030, and authorities last month floated the idea of installing toll capital as well as business hub Ho Chi Minh City to charge cars wanting to enter.
And finally, in our news, our Bureau Chief, Crystal Mapa, takes us to Kanchanaburi, Thailand to discover its gem of history and theme cafes.
Welcome back to Thailand! Yes, Thailand is now open to fully vaccinated tourists from 63 countries without the need to quarantine. So start packing your bags and include this beautiful province in your must-go places in Thailand, especially if you're a nature lover and cafe hopper. Kanchanaburi is a 2-hour drive from Bangkok that offers forests, rivers, waterfalls, and with cool weather due to its altitude. It's a highly recommended weekend getaway from the bustling city and enjoy nature at its finest. The province is also rich in history as it formerly connects Thailand and Myanmar. To have a glimpse of its history, you can visit the Hellfire Museum. It may have a dark past, but it now has a beautiful overlooking view of mountains and trees. It felt so good to walk around and smell the calming freshness of nature. Right now, they are requiring all entrants to show a proof of full vaccination certificate and proof of identity. So if you're a foreigner, don't forget to bring your passport. Entrance to the museum is 100% free for both Thais and foreigners. Plus, you can also bring your furry friends as the museum is pet-friendly. Theme cafes are indeed booming in Thailand. And in Kanchanaburi, we highly recommend these 2 Instagrammable cafes. Yes, this famous cafe is in Thailand. The South Korean themed cafe is situated at the foot of a mountain, landscaped with beautiful flowers and fall trees that complete the autumn vibes. If you're in for a photo shoot, Hanbok Rental is available for 200 baht or $6. Entrance to this cafe is 70 baht or around $2, which you can also use to buy drinks and finger foods inside. This paddy rice-filled themed cafe is all you need to see to shake those stress away. Coupled with delicious, authentic Thai dish and drinks, surely this cafe is hard to miss. From Kanchanaburi, Thailand, I am Crystal Mapa. We live in interesting times.
Beautiful.
Yes, that was beautiful. Alma, I haven't been there actually.
Oh, you haven't been there?
Yes.
Okay.
So
we
it's
have to go
included
there
in my plan
together.
now. Okay, sure, Alma, come here. Come over here in Thailand. No quarantine anymore.
Thank you always. Thank you as always, Esther, for keeping me company today.
And as always, it's always my pleasure, Alma. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian region. Thank you for joining us today here in ASEAN in Focus. I am Esther Odanga from Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And we'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.